Welcome back to the Experience Flow AI video series, Perspectives on Enterprise AI. I am your host, Brent Haley, throughout this thought leadership journey. This video cast is sponsored by Experience Flow AI, a pioneer in agentic AI solutions to augment humans and unlock the potential of your enterprise. Experience Flow has been in stealth mode for the past few years, pioneering autonomous enterprise AI solutions. And during this video series, we will be bringing you a variety of guests, product leaders, AI thought leaders, those who are building and deploying enterprise-focused AI enterprise solutions. The topic for today is all about data. And we've had an interesting title, Rivers, Lakes, and Oceans. And I'd like to explain that a little bit before we get into it. Of course, as we look at it and define rivers, multiple silos of data flowing, sometimes intersecting, sometimes not. And as all of us know, we are moving towards trying to have data lakes, right? A lot of companies out there that are doing that. We'll talk about that later. And a term we're kind of coining here maybe today, oceans, whereas we have huge amounts of data. We have large world language models that are basically parsing all that data. And we'll talk a little bit about whether we want to be in that ocean or not here today. And again, for our first few episodes, we will be talking with Atul Bhatnagar, the CEO of ExperienceFlow.AI. Atul, welcome back to the talk and really talking about this very important topic.
Thanks, Brent, and good morning. Thank you for having me.
Well, I know that you have been talking with a lot of enterprise leaders, especially as your job as CEO of ExperienceFlow.AI, and also, just with your experience in the past of all the other things. I'd like to know a little bit of what your thought is about how important is data in this upcoming world of AI?
Brent, data is going to be very, very important because fundamentally, AI extracts patterns, AI extracts functions out of the data, and then does prediction. So data is like blood to the body. It's so fundamental. I think as I talk with the customers, there are different situations we run into. One set of situations are there is no data collection strategy, and actually a lot of companies are in that mode. The second situation is that they have started collecting the data, but it's not as methodic. And then third is they're very organized and they're putting data into, as you define, rivers, lakes, or oceans. And I think, but paramount concern customers have is privacy of data, and it's mounting even more and more as a concern. So I think the AI companies have to address that and ensure that that valuable, insightful, intellectual property or a unique secret sauce for their business that is not spilled out. So that's kind of, I would say, key concern for them.
So let's spend a minute and talk about rivers, i.e., silos of data out there in the enterprise world. How do we merge all that together? I know some people are starting to do that, but give a concept of how are you seeing people getting all that stuff together into one place?
As you build your data strategy, you have to go back to what is your business strategy, because every company has a strategy. Some are very driven by innovation, some are very driven by process, some are very driven by people services. So first you have to identify what is your business strategy. Then you have to identify what are the crown jewels which help you execute the business strategy. Then you figure out to execute those crown jewels, what are the key processes which you need to measure and improve. I think it is very methodic in that. Otherwise, you'll be collecting gobs of data, which will have no benefit for you from business point of view. So I think it is very important to know what is your business strategy and then go to the data strategy, then go to the execution. This way, you will really get relevant and consistent data. Let me give you an example. We focus a lot on business planning or business strategy. And when you're focusing on business strategy, your revenue, your cost, your compliance, and your customer success. These are four very critical pillars of your business strategy. Whereas if you were a pharmaceutical company, which is really driven by some massive innovation, then there might be some other things which might be equally important. So I think business strategy, then data strategy. I would go in that sequence.
I've heard you say in the past in some of your blogs, a windshield view in your enterprise. And I know this ties to data. Give me a little bit more insight of what your philosophy and vision is there when you say that windshield view.
Yeah, I think this we coined about maybe 8 months back or so as a term. You can't predict the future just based on the past. There are some applications, there are some situations where you can predict the future based on the past. But when it comes to enterprises, which are very stochastic, which are very dynamic, where the business conditions are changing, competition is changing, pricing is changing, even sometimes business strategy is changing. That in that dynamic situation, past is relevant, but in some cases it could be a boat anchor. Actually, you need to let go of the past. That's what I call windshield view of AI, where we think about the future. We look at the real time data, we look at what's changing, then we come up with the winning strategy. The way you play a game of chess, you look at the real time chessboard, and then you come up with strategies, the winning strategies. So it is that type of AI which is looking at real time data, looking at the future, doing the planning. That's what I call windshield view of AI.
Great definition and an interesting view of, again, instead of looking in the past, but using your data for decisions that need to be made, right? And I think that's, again, one of the primary philosophies of your product, EDNS. Am I correct?
Yes, absolutely. And this is why we focus a lot on reinforcement learning techniques of the AI. Because for us, the real time processing, real time patterns, real time changes, those are pretty important to come up with that business plan, which is relevant for the conditions you're facing.
Let's take a minute and talk about oceans of data, right? We've got a lot of world LLMs, we've got Chat GPT, as you talk with enterprises, what is the current status of thought about integrating or so enterprise data and this ocean of data? Do you have any thoughts on how people are thinking about that and kind of trying to merge those two or use them?
My thinking about this is each enterprise is unique. Each enterprise has a business strategy or differentiation or competitive strategy. So it's more like they have their own rivers. There may be different rivers coming from different processes, different business sections of the company. And in some ways, by mingling that with some generic stuff, dilutes it. So, and also the privacy concerns. So our strategy is we will give our customers complete privacy of data, and we will also give our customers a assurance that we are focused on their problem. We are not solving some generic problem. And again, there are applications where that ocean of data, generic data, lots of data, could solve some problem which is common to everybody, like language prediction. But for business point of view, you always rifle shoot. You always take the problem. You always figure out for this company what is relevant. So we are focused on enterprises and relevancy for them and maintaining their privacy.
Sounds like the best of both worlds a little bit, right? We've got
Exactly.
you have that integration with Gen AI. Let's talk a bit about synthetic data. This has come up a lot in the world a little bit as a topic of either training models or using it to give some practices within a company. Give me your thoughts on how either you or you're seeing synthetic data being used right now.
I think for many applications, when you study the data, you look at the patterns, and from the patterns, you come up with functions mathematically representing the situation. And as you do that, you get ability to generate synthetic data. Again, may not be true for every situation. Some things might be just too stochastic. But for most of the situations, we believe that ability to have synthetic data enables us to take limited data and start to benefit the customers, also maintain their privacy, and make sure that people really benefit from AI, even if they have collected limited data. Because not everybody will be very organized, not everybody will have data lakes, not everyone will have absolutely great business to data strategy. So we are making sure that we enable many companies who are just starting their journey. And with that in mind, we have a product called Domain AI Transformation System, which really lets you get going. We help you as you start to craft your data strategy, as you have limited data. With that itself, we get going. Supplementing that with our synthetic data strategy.
Wow. So data compliance and security, I'm hearing a lot again, and I think a lot of people have to be aware of that. It seems like we've had a lot of recent updates with new Apple and other people. Anything else on kind of compliance, right? I mean, again, it's even a European thing too. Any other thoughts or last steps on helping companies understand how to cross that lake versus ocean?
I think overall, we are at a very early stage in the AI revolution. Governments are waking up, countries are waking up. I think they will all come up with their own compliance and rules, and each region, each country will have their own idiosyncrasies. The important thing is to architect from day one in such a manner that ethics, security, compliance is front and center. And that's what we have done. That's why data security for us is very important. That's why we believe just limited data is good enough. That's why we believe that whatever customer gives you, just treat that in a very sacrosanct manner. Then you are okay. Doesn't matter what kind of compliance comes down the line, you will be fine. That's kind of what we're doing.
I want to go back to the beginning here with rivers and lakes for a second. And data, as we've kind of said, and you've said, is the first step to AI. Is there any thoughts again or suggestions on going from that river silo to that lake?
I think overall, as small and medium-sized enterprises, they have one set of issues. But if you're a large enterprise, then I think having a data lake really brings a lot of those rivers into one lake where you can store ones in a very consistent and organized manner and use multiple times in multiple applications. So that makes sense, right? So I think it's all about data organization. But overall, with time, I think the ability of an enterprise to, in a very consistent manner with limited errors, having good data strategy, matching the business strategy, which is very key, and asking the questions about data security to all the vendors. I think those are going to be the key things. Rest, AI is making big strides. I think enterprises will see significant productivity gain and significant business benefits coming out of AI.
So I'm going to lead a little bit into our next episode with this question for our viewers. Agents, and we're going to talk about that in episode number 3, AI agents, if they're really ready for the enterprise. But my question to you to lead into that is how, when an agent is using this data, right? How important is that, and how is that going to kind of start to see us in the enterprise work?
Yeah, I think agents are, your champions on various aspects of the enterprise and helping improve the results, asking the questions, continuously giving you areas where you can bring better results, lots more improvements, and net your entire model also improves. I think it'll be very fascinating to get into that in the next episode.
Well, Atul, again, thank you for your time. I know you're busy as we're working with customers and also doing a lot of POCs, and also your perspective and insight on enterprise AI. Thank you again for your time.
Thanks, Brent. Always love to be here, and thank you for having me.
And watchers, next episode, please join us. We are going to be looking at AI agents, are they ready for the enterprise? And maybe even having a special guest. So join us then. Thank you again for your time.